Is a deal between the United States and Iran finally within reach? Despite vague and sometimes conflicting messages from the White House and the Iranians, there's reason tonight for optimism. Let's parse through the social media tea leaves. Pakistan's Prime Minister, a key negotiator, posted that a final agreed-upon text has been reached. President Trump, for his part, reshared a statement from the Iranian foreign minister that says an agreement has never been closer. A senior Trump administration official offered a few more details in a call with reporters. The agreement would reopen the Strait of Hormuz and lift the U.S. naval blockade, lead to the dismantling of Iran's nuclear program, and eventually the destruction and removal of enriched material. An important sticking point for the Iranians is the release of billions of dollars of frozen funds. Vice President J.D. Vance says the Iranians won't get anything for attending meetings and will only receive economic benefits if Iran, quote, meets its obligations. For the very latest now, we want to turn to the White House and Taurean Small. Taurean, we have heard many of these tenets before during the course of these negotiations. So what's new in this memorandum of understanding?
Yeah, Nicole, a couple of things, and this is all information we gleaned from conversations with the senior Trump administration official. It appears that the language around the enriched uranium is somewhat new in this agreement that the Trump administration appears to be working out. This is much different from kind of the nebulous space that we were in with the previous memorandum of understanding. This would essentially commit to the U.S. taking hold of the disposal of that enriched uranium. The next piece here, I think, is kind of the inner workings of the Iranian government, considering the fact that the supreme leader was working at an undisclosed location. There was a courier going back and forth between these negotiations. It appears that there has been an agreement on text, according to senior Trump administration within the Iranian government. So that's why we're seeing this optimism being pushed forward towards reaching an agreement sooner than later.
And in terms of that sooner or later, do we have a better sense of when the U.S. and Iran could finalize this deal and sign an agreement?
Well, according to the president, he thinks that could happen as soon as this weekend. That senior Trump official was really cautious about pinpointing a date, but we know as soon as that memorandum is agreed upon, that starts the 60-day countdown to an actual peace deal. I think this is what's most crucial, especially as we're seeing early reaction from lawmakers as to the efficacy of this agreement. We heard from people like Senator Lindsey Graham, who is a staunch Trump supporter and notable Iranian war hawk. He circled around this idea of reports previously on what this memorandum or agreement would look like, saying that this cannot be a replica of an Obama-era Iran nuclear deal. And he said ultimately any agreement that is struck between the Trump administration and Tehran has to come through Congress for its approval, Nicole.
All right, Taurean Small at the White House tonight. Thank you so much. I want to turn now to CBS News contributor and former CIA officer Elliot Ackerman. He joins me now from New York. And Elliot, what's your take and what's your reaction to these potential terms?
Listen, it seems to me that a deal is always hinged around a few elements, and they keep recurring, right? It's the Strait of Hormuz, getting that back open. It is Iran's nuclear program and making sure that that is either entirely eliminated or severely curtailed, and its financial remuneration for Iran and the cost of this war so they can rebuild. And those seem to be the three pieces that are on the board, and both the Iranians and the Trump administration, continue to circle those to try to get them into some type of a balance where there could be a deal.
A senior administration official indicated that the U.S. envisions a 60-day period for technical negotiations to resolve any outstanding issues. Is that a realistic timetable, particularly when it comes to Iran's nuclear program?
I think we're just going to have to see. I mean, really, the devil is in the details when it comes to the nuclear program and the real technical specifics on whether or not Iran will dismantle or whether or not they're going to kind of hold a few things back. So, 60 days might be enough to get it down. But again, we've seen these negotiations deteriorate several times now.
Fighting is still ongoing in Lebanon. Could a deal with Iran make a truce there more likely?
Right, potentially, but then, also the kind of the third party here is the conflict between Israel and Iran. And any type of deal the U.S. does with Iran is going to have to also be aligned with Israeli interests. And if Israel isn't on sides, it's very easy for the Israelis and Hezbollah to keep on fighting in a way that could undermine a deal between the U.S. and Iran.
So bottom line, if this deal goes through as it's being discussed and negotiated now, how different would things really be from what they were before the war started?
Right. Well, that's the big question, and I think that's going to be one of the central criticisms of the Trump administration. And listen, whatever deal gets done, ultimately, both the Iranian regime and the Trump administration are going to declare victory, and they're going to have to go home and try to sell that victory domestically. But it's a very legitimate criticism that any type of deal just takes us to the exact same position we were before the war.
And of course, this isn't the first time that President Trump has signaled that the war might be close to an end. Do you get the sense that this time is different, or could this deal potentially fall through?
Yeah, and that's a great question. Listen, the deal can absolutely fall through. There have been so many stops and starts, and I think the one thing we've all seen play out is that it's much easier to start a war than it is to finish a war. But I remain optimistic. Both sides want a deal. The question just is who's going to get the better deal.
All right, Elliot Ackerman tonight from New York. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.